Good question. It can be useful, I find, for people to understand concepts, to use models, to use descriptors of different types of bodies that we are made up of. And it can be useful to speak about them as if they're separate and to help the mind understand it, to help us explore one deeply or the other. So in terms of the bodies, and in Master Your Pleasure, we work with all the layers of our bodies, which would be physical body, our energetic body, which some people might call the aura or the energy body that extends. And it's crucial and key to be able to access your pleasure, to be in connection with that body and to know how to move that energy. If that is shut down, your capacity for pleasure on a physical plane will be hugely restricted. So the energy body itself, the emotional body, the pleasure body, which for me actually almost runs through all the bodies. The pleasure body infuses all the bodies, the mind, the center, the physical body, the sensual body, the emotional body, the energetic body. And I think also the pain body, I would also see as infusing all of those. We can have pain on an emotional level, on a physical level, on an energetic level, and on a mental level. Certain vibrations or energies, one which may be pain, and there's many different types of pain, and one which may be pleasure, many different types of pleasure, that are kind of interwoven, that are kind of connected. And so the energy of anger, which many people have issues suppressing, is connected with the energy of passion. So one of the most common things is people suppressing their anger stops them having access to their passion. So again, with pain and pleasure, there's this interrelationship that exists. That's not to say that everyone needs to find pleasure in pain. And in the second level that we work on within Master Your Pleasure, we look at pain relief, which is the second form of pleasure we feel as a young child or a baby when people take away discomfort. And there's a depth to be had in exploring this pleasure from pain relief. But it's a choice. And in Master Your Pleasure, one of the things that we keep reminding you every day, and one of the points that we keep coming to in every moment, yes, sometimes pain is inevitable. Sometimes pleasure may be inevitable. Sometimes anger, sometimes passion, sometimes joy, sometimes sorrow. But at every moment when there's a choice, when something is occurring in your body or in connection with someone else or alone, where do you turn your focus to? Where do you choose to turn your attention? What do you choose to allow? What do you choose to focus on? And this is different from bypassing or ignoring or repressing things in order to try and pretend that you're in pleasure. This is seeing many things are happening. There may be deep sadness in my heart at this moment in truth. And if alongside that there's a presence of someone that I am enjoying being with and that I have an intimate, passionate connection with, can I also feel and allow the pleasure in that moment? Or will I shut down to that because I also have some sadness and pain? So one of the keys, and we do go into the emotional body, and I work with the emotional body in almost everything that I offer to people individually and in groups. It's like, how can you master the muscle, the capacity to hold it all, so that you don't have to be in one or the other, so that you can choose for sadness to sit alongside joy, for pleasure to sit alongside pain, not be addicted to any of them. Pleasure could be used as a tool for avoidance, as a distraction, as an addiction. I worked quite a lot with people who would have had what they described, or what they did describe, as pornography addiction or sex addiction. I don't particularly wouldn't want to choose to use that term. But where are we doing anything in order to avoid feeling? Where are we not engaging intimately and sexually because we are afraid of feeling, of our hearts being broken or our emotions being vulnerable? Where are we engaging through hyper-sexuality, sometimes because of past or early life experiences of abuse and certain other situations, or needing to get love? Where are we actually very sexual and having a lot of pleasure, but actually that pleasure is disconnected, that pleasure is in a place of dissociation, that pleasure's in a place that actually the body's in contraction, or the mind and the heart can't stay present? So understanding that none of these things are good or bad, right or wrong. What's authentic in this moment, and where do you choose? And particularly with pleasure, you can choose. And most often, the reason why people don't choose is, do I deserve? Can I receive? Will I be overwhelmed? What if I feel all this pleasure and then I lose it and I feel pain? What if I, get so engulfed in pleasure that I lose my mind and I can't function? What if all of those things were put to the side and you were just to choose to open to experience whatever pleasure? If you have the capacity across the breadth of pleasures that exist, and if you do not have a limit, a cap that you set upon yourself, we really can experience things in terms of pleasure that are way beyond anything we could really imagine. And as I say that, I mean pleasure in the mind, pleasure in the emotions, pleasure in the physical body, pleasure in our spiritual self,